Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Today we are saving Honda. Much like the previous video we had on the channel, saving Lily, we're going to be talking about potential buffs and just quality of life changes for Honda going into Season 2 of Street Fighter 6. Now, before anything else, I understand this is a harder sell than the Lily video. I think all of you can critically understand, yes, Honda is absolutely a bad character. You look at it with the critical eye, there's no doubting it. Like, it's just how it is. Honda's not good. However, despite the fact Honda is not good, Honda is one of the most reviled characters in this game. Like, the numbers bear it out. There's no Honda representation in the Capcom Cup. You know, for the Red Bull Kumite, there was no Honda invitees, nor in the qualifying slots did anyone qualify with Honda because, well, it's just not going to happen because Honda's not good enough to compete at the highest levels of play. It's really that cut and dry. You might hate the guy, but it's true, Honda's just not a good character. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk changes for Honda, and one, we're going to make him a better character with these changes, right? Obviously, these are all my opinion only. But the idea is we're going to make him a better character, a more fun character for both players to fight with. And also one, I think, significant change that will make Honda more bearable for the average player. So before we get to like the big changes, we'll talk the Buttslam change I have in mind. But I also want to put my stated goal here. Honda is a gimmicky character, straight up. Honda has awful neutral. That's why Headbutt and Buttslam became his neutral, because what other choice does he have, right? So these moves frustrate the common player, but what else is he gonna do? Like, his other tools are not necessarily up to par, especially against better characters in the game. So when a Honda player feels their back against the wall, you're gonna see Buttslam start flying left, right, front, and center, because that's the panic move to go to, because when nothing else works, this might work if you get overwhelmed by it, right? So I want Honda to be a better neutral character, a neutral focused character. I feel that's where his strengths should lie and be less on like just gimmicky butt slams and all that kind of stuff. So now let's just talk Buttslam. So Buttslam, I'm going to propose a nerf, but it's a non-nerf. It's a nerf that doesn't matter. So Buttslam is +1 on block, right? So if I jab you, I'm going to win because I'm +1. That's how it works. But the reality is it's like almost useless. Like, being +1 is not the advantage you think it is, because you can just walk out at everything. And to prove my point here, I got Cammy. So to prove my point here, I am going to be picking Buttslam instead, because Buttslam has the slowest backwalk in the game. So, you know, I'm not playing favorites with the characters or anything. And let me show you all the awesome offense Honda gets off your Buttslam in +1. So after he'll block Buttslam, he's just going to walk back a step, right? And once again, this is Buttslam, worst backwalk in the game. And I'm going to do my best to kind of land directly on his head to be as close as possible. So if you mash, yes, I'll be able to beat you with my hand. Sure, absolutely. But, you know, say I know you're going to backwalk. Okay, I'll do crouch light kick. Oh, doesn't go into anything. Okay, well, how about crouch medium kick? Oh, doesn't go into anything. Okay, well, how about I try to throw you? Oh, I whiff. Well, how about I try to walk forward and throw you? Oh, I whiff. Well, how about I go for my command grab? Oh, that whiffs. How about I walk forward and command grab? Oh, that whiffs. How about I try walk forward EX command grab? Oh, that whiffs. There's nothing Honda can do to you that's real other than make you block a jab, and that's it. At most, you'll take like a crouch medium kick. That's the most daring you can do, and he gets nothing past that. The problem is this. Kind of these loops where people just choke and die and get frustrated. And you can deal with these, yes, but people even at higher levels, if they're not expecting this, it gets very frustrating. And once you get flustered, everything just kind of falls apart really bad. And then you're left with the bad feelings that everyone hates Honda for. So here's my change. +1, could not care less. Make it neutral, make it -1, I don't care. But the pushback between the two characters, make it like this. Like, push him back all the way, reset to neutral. Just like, say, you know, his command grab, if you get it, you get the damage, but then you kind of reset the neutral on block. I don't care, that's fine. Then you're kind of dissuaded from using it in the gimmicky ways, which frustrates players at all levels of play. It still remains the tool it needs to be, because like, say in the Buttslam match, you're going to have to randomly do Buttslam in the Buttslam match. because that's the only way we can catch them in the air sometimes, right? So you still have it as a tool it needs to be, but you take away the frustrating elements. It's still a clear nerf in the end. I'm okay with it, right? If this is what people are frustrated against, take it out. I don't care. The buffs I have in mind later in the video are all to make Honda better, like playing the real game, playing Street Fighter 6. So if we have to lose this to get that, I'm all for it. Nerf the move, increase the pushback, and then all these like butt slam loops stop being a thing and people stop losing their mind over this stuff, right? So all for it. Just when it's blocked, increase the pushback a big way. And I shouldn't have to remind you, but just to say, butt slam is still a move you can easily deal with. You just gotta lab for 5 minutes. It's very easy to perfect parry. There's so many moves that easily just crush it while you're standing. If you jump back and do any move that's a cross up, you'll beat them, counter hit them, and might be able to get a combo follow up after the fact. Use a cross up move specifically because if you don't know what side he's landing on, the cross up hits both sides because that's how it works, right? So you can easily deal with the move, but for the sake of transparency, let's nerf it to the ground. I don't care. Let's nerf it to the ground so we can have all the other nice things. So now that's out of the way, we're going to set some ground rules like we did with the Lily video. One, I can't know any system level changes that are happening. Could be a system level change changes the world for Honda. I don't know. So I'm going to move forward assuming there won't be any system level changes. And also, while I do believe eventually there'll be like things like new moves, new animations, all that kind of stuff, I don't think that will be season 2 specifically. So I'm not going to invent things out of whole cloth. We're going to work with things that can exist just by changing the numbers, changing the frame data, changing the properties, but without adding like Sumo Shotgun and Sumo Missile, right? So, you know, maybe season 4, we have like Sumo Teleport, where you can just teleport midair and then dive headbutt you from an angle, but that's the future for now. Let's just work with what we got. I understand all y'all hate Honda. That's fine. Just bear with me by the end of this. And with the previous change mentioned, I think you'll be on my side in this. These are all very reasonable changes that just make Honda, 1, stronger, and 2, more importantly, more fun to play. Because once again, his game plan is a gimmick. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a Honda fan. He has a gimmicky game plan. I want to make his game plan less gimmicky and more real. Okay, so we want Honda to have a better neutral that's not just headbutt all day, butt slam all day, right? How do we get Honda to his better neutral? Well, change number 1 is just increase his walk speed. Like, he's not the slowest character in the game. Obviously, he's furthest from the fastest. Just knock it up like 1 tier. Like, make him roughly the same walk speed as like Ryu. A better walk speed pretty much across all fighting games just means better neutral. He doesn't need to be a speed demon. He doesn't need to be like Cammy or Kimberly. Obviously not, right? But if you up his walk speed just a little bit, it makes his tools, his various things he can do in neutral, just that much more deadly and that much more valuable without having to tweak a lot of the numbers. So if you make Honda just a little bit quicker, and hey, don't worry about it being not realistic. Sumos can be very fast. Those legs, they're some of the strongest legs in the planet. Trust me, Sumos can be very quick. So just make it a little bit quicker and kind of everything else just gets better out of the gate. So that's one small change. Now let's talk another one that doesn't seem as big, but is pretty big. Our next change is changing Crouch Medium Punch. So Crouch Medium Punch is a perfectly serviceable move, but it's not amazing, right? So it's 8 frame startup. It is special cancelable. That's nice, right? But what I want to change here is I want to change it from 8 frames to 7 frames. And the move becoming only 1 frame faster changes everything for Honda. So if it was 1 frame faster, it would combo off Drive Rush, Crouch, Heavy Punch, 7 frames, right? If it was 1 frame faster, would also combo off Drive Rush, Crouch, Light Kick, 7 frames, right? Just a frame short. It would also link into itself. Drive Rush, Crouch, Medium Punch is 7 frames advantage on hit. And for something like counter hits, counter hit, Crouch, Medium Kick, this would become a natural combo, and counter hit, Stand, Light Kick. That would also become a natural combo, right? So on these by itself, you're getting a lot of value. The big thing it would unlock for Honda, though, is all the moves that you can get, you know, that advantage off of Drive Rush, right? It also becomes much more valuable on Punish Counter. So now, something like Crouch Heavy Punch, which is already a pretty alright move, but now it becomes all the more valuable because he can get down into that home run swing in a Punish Counter and neutral exchange that many of the actual good characters can get. And now Honda can be on that level. So say someone's going to whiff, like, you know, a light into a special cancel and buffer, and if they get it, great, and if they whiff, whatever. So say you catch that in neutral, right, and you hit with that punish counter. Now all of a sudden, depending on your distance, because it's still a shorter range move, as long as you get a good punish counter, you can now link into crouch medium punch. And then all of a sudden something like this would actually be a natural combo. And then you can get like a pretty sizable reward, right? Or conversely, since this would be a natural combo on punish counter only, you're catching the whiff, right? Then something like this, you know, big home run swing, you know, that better characters can do, Honda can't do so good, right? Could be a thing. So just that one change gives them a lot more options off drive rushes, gives them more options off counter hits, and allows for big home run swings on certain punish counters, right? So that's really cool. That gives them a lot more viability. And also, just being a frame faster just makes this a better poke in neutral as well. So it just adds a lot to the character, and it's just one move, one frame faster. The next change for Honda, and this won't be the only one that's going to be like this, is evoking Street Fighter V a little bit here. So that's on the Sumo Stomp. So the move itself can be mostly unchanged, that's fine. But what I want is when he's like kind of reeling back, just like say Street Fighter V, make the hitbox, or rather the hurtbox of Honda, sort of match him reeling back. Now it does to an extent, like see right here, can be hitting like tip of my toes, right? And if I were to lift my feet, then it wouldn't be there, right? But I'm talking kind of for like the whole body. I don't know if there's a name for this technique, but I always called it the Sumo Shimmy in Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V, there was so many strings that had like plus frames and you just kind of had to hold that. This one, if you knew you're going to end up with a low, you could use the stomp to avoid the low specifically. Maybe it wasn't fast enough to catch the move, depending on the move every time, but it was an option. Also, Street Fighter V, you can cancel the startup into other special moves, and that could turn that into very easy guaranteed punish, because EX Buttslam was pretty crazy in Street Fighter V. But I'm not arguing for that yet. Maybe another season we can argue for that. So I sort of wanted to work how it worked in Street Fighter V. And no, we don't have to make the stomp special cancelable by itself into headbutts and butt stomps and all that. That's fine. We don't need that. But just to add just a layer of just him having more fun things to do in neutral. Also, as a defensive layer, if you have just an ultra predictable block string that we know has some sort of like move that this can avoid, all the better yet. And also say, since throw loops are a big part of Street Fighter and they don't seem to be going anywhere, if I was say my back to the wall, just that if we can have it just avoid a throw. Honda's throw protection is very weak. He has armor on headbutt and he has no throw protection other than the basics, right? And I'm not saying add throw invincible moves, even though traditionally butt stomp should be throw invincible, but whatever, like we'll leave that as it is. But you know, hey, if I could like Sumo Shimmy your throw loop, that'd be pretty cool. And also, hey, punish counter stomp, why that's +7. Goes right into crouch medium punch, just like we talked about earlier too, right? So just as a way to blow up very obvious offense, just making the stomp just pull itself back, pull the hurt box back more than it currently does, because it does a little bit, but not much. More like Street Fighter V. I think that'd be very cool, very interesting tool. And it would be a really big call out tool. Like if this happens, you got called the F out, you know? And that'd be really fun and interesting, at least in my books. Okay, so next thing to make Honda much more viable and fun is Sumo Spirit, the buff. So he has the buff and has exactly one use and nothing else. So when Sumo Spirit's up, 100 hand slap gets the follow up. It is +4 on regular hit, and it is +5 on EX hit when you have the buff up. And then, you know, that being that, you can get additional hits. Sure, whatever, right? And it doesn't really do much else besides that. A lot of the time, Honda will have the buff, and he's just going to sit on it, because he's not going to do anything until he just gets the hit, and then he'll get whatever combo. And a lot of times, because Honda's Honda, you'll get the hit and you'll spend it, but like, wasn't the biggest reward, but oh well, I guess. But what I want to do is make the buff more varied, more useful, and more like its predecessor, the Street Fighter V buff. So here's the big one out of the gate. When you do hands, no matter what, you use the buff. Doesn't matter if you hit or you whiff or whatever. And more importantly, most importantly in my opinion, is on block specifically, you lose it. It's done. And it doesn't make you do more chip damage, doesn't drain any more gauge, it doesn't make it any safer on block. It does a big fat nothing. you just lose it. End of story. And here's where I want to change this. I want to make Honda more like old Honda, right? Part of the headbutt change is it's the drain move, right? We don't have chip damage normal way, we drain gauge, sure. But that's what headbutt's purpose is now. And hands is literally combo fodder and nothing else in this game. So I say, when we have the buff live, make hands work like it does on hit. So on hit, it has that just follow up at the end, that big old overhead slap at the end, right? And I say this, on block, he does exactly that. So now when you have buff, he'll do whatever the hands are, he'll do that overhead slap at the end, and maybe heavy hand slaps is not -8 point blank anymore. Maybe with the buff up, you do the slap and then it's +1. Maybe they're all just +1. It's nothing huge, you're out of throw range, right? But if we're gonna get rid of how, Buttslam works, as we talked about earlier, I don't want it to work that way. Put that +1 on the buff. It makes the buff eminently more useful because at bare minimum, if you make this +1, you can do this, jab, and the headbutt, and then you get the extra gauge damage anyways. And then you kind of make Honda what Honda should be. Honda should be the character that rips your gauge from you, right? And then Honda's very incentivized to go for that buff. Like, he'll actually fish for it. Like, okay, now that I got buff, okay, well, then now I can do this. I'll just fish. I can't hit confirm off of base one hit anyways, right? I'll fish, and then, okay, maybe I do this 100 hand slap, and I'm not dead on block. And in fact, I'm +1. I can make you, like, block a jab into a blocked headbutt or something like that. And that just becomes more interesting, more valuable. Once again, buff. Once you have buff live, it's dead until you hit confirm into it. There's nothing else to do. So many other characters in this game, they have like buffs or stacks or whatever mechanics, and Honda's one of them, and his is like the most basic bitch of them all. You just build it, and then it's there and just makes one combo better. So what if we can make it more universally valuable? There's more than one thing to do with 100 hand slap. So once again, build buff, your next 100 hand slap, if it hits, it does the same thing it always did, and if it gets blocked, you still do that follow-up hit at the end, and just leaves you +1 instead of -4 or -8. And then from that +1, you can do whatever, all the usual things +1 does in this game, right? It just gives him more of an incentive to build the buff and keep building the buff, making the buff a big part of his game plan. So that's buff part 1. I actually want to go further here. I have a second buff for the buff. Once again, let's make the buff a big part of the game plan. Make it something you want to go for all the time. And now the second part of the buff is this. I want it to work like exactly how it works in Street Fighter V. Once again, the move came from Street Fighter V, and frankly, and completely honestly, the version of Street Fighter VI is just a frankly worse version than what you got in Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V, it gave Honda the world. And here, it gives you a slightly better combo and hit confirm, that's it. So let's make it better, and let's do how it works in Street Fighter V, in that it makes moves that cannot combo into hands normally, combo into hands. So good examples here are things like forward heavy kick. So forward heavy kick, if you have the buff live in Street Fighter V, it can combo into hands. Normally it is not special cancelable. Also say something like crouch medium kick. Crouch medium kick is normally not special cancelable, can't go into hands. If you have the buff live, it can go into hands. And hey, when you know it, this move is not special cancelable, forward heavy kick. This should be one of the cornerstones of his neutral. This should make Honda very strong in neutral, and hopefully, with say this change, and also slightly better walk speed, it can be one of his better tools, because it's a standing low, right? So now imagine if you had buff live, then all of a sudden you do this, and you can go right into hand slap. And that'd be great, that'd be huge. And don't worry about it being overpowered or anything. If you use it the way I think it should work, if you use it at the tip, like you would get like the actual follow-up, but you'd be too far away to get your link, right? So it just give you more damage. And once again, as we talked about earlier, maybe you get +1 on block. Seems strong, sure, but you had to leave yourself very limited to get yourself to that situation. Either you had to take a massive risk in neutral, or you had to give up pressure after setup to get it, right? So you get one cool use of the move, and then it's back to 0 until you build the buff again, right? And I think that'd be great. Same thing with a crouch medium kick. Crouch medium kick sucks. It sucks. Like, I guess It's +5, so like you can combo into it point blank. That's it, right? As like a tool, as a poke, like it's not special cancelable. So what if you did it and you know someone's walking back out of your setup, walking back out of your pressure, out of a throw or a command grab, and what if with the buff live, you could just say, nah, gotcha, 100 hand slap, tag it, right? I think that's very fair. And once again, this is all about making the buff an actual viable threat. Like once it's up, people say, oh damn, I shouldn't have let him get away with that, right? So now like one more interaction is gonna get a lot more scary. And once again, if he has cool things to fish for, he's not just gonna be doing headbutt all day because he'll have other things to do besides headbutts. So in the end, the buff, I want it to work on block, give you just a singular plus frame. That's it, that's all. And I want it to work like Street Fighter V in that moves that are not normally special cancelable, like forward heavy kick, like crouch medium kick. If you have the buff live, you can one-off cancel in the 100 hand slap just like you could in Street Fighter V. I think this is eminently fair and, more importantly, fun. Okay, next section, we're talking clap. Holy hell, clap sucks! What an awful move! Like, this has got to be one of the worst special moves in the game. Like bottom 5 probably, right? Like clap has exactly a use. You have the buff up, we talked about buff section. If you have clap up, they can cancel in the hands, which is why you should let other things cancel in the hands as well with the buff up. But anyways, like realistically, like what is clap for? Clap's to destroy projectiles. It's god awful at it. And there's exactly 2 viable scenarios where you can use claps and combos. Clap combos are like 99% a waste of your time. You'll do literally less damage in a normal combo with way less execution and less hits. There's like 2 viable situations. One of them, if they're standing and you have to be literally touching them, like even a pixel away, the combo will drop. But if you're literally touching them, that's a combo, because clap will hit on later active frames. So it'll let you link. And say if they're crouching and you go for like crouch, like kick, crouch, like punch, in that specific order, has to be that specific order, and you know they're crouching, then that's the combo, right? And it's crouching only and has to be this specific string only, and it, once again, just hits on like later active frame, doesn't hit on frame 1, right? So that's about the only 2 viable uses for it in combos, and unless you radically rework the move, I don't see clap combos becoming like a thing for Honda. But what we can do is make the other intended use of destroying projectiles actually useful. Let's say you're up against someone with a fireball. Oh, they threw a fireball. Clap destroys projectiles. Yeah, I'm so cool. Look at that. And do you actually want to do that? Do you want to risk your life doing that? This is Street Fighter 6. This is a death sentence if you actually try to destroy that projectile. Oh, projectile coming. Destroy that projectile. Yeah. Oh, whoops. I'm stupid. Oh, you're going to throw a fireball, Ed? Haha, sucker. Oh, wait. I'm dead. Whoops. Silly me. And Lord forbid you're fighting like any of the Fireball and the Drive Rush characters, because you are asking to die if you dare clap any of their projectiles. So clap sucks. Like there's almost no character where clap's actually a viable thing, especially against characters with non-standard fireballs like JP, right? So clap is meant to be an anti-fireball move, and it's absolutely god-awful at being an anti-fireball move. So what do we do about it? Well, I'm of 2 minds of it. You know, post in the comments below. One's lazy but easy, and the other one's a lot more fun, but maybe you could argue against it, right? So when you clap a fireball, you can see there's a very large particle effect, right? I say turn that particle effect into an active hitbox, straight up. So when he claps, like, you can like argue a little lower, he's dissipating the energy of the fireball, whatever, right? But when he claps, that just becomes one gigantic wall of hitbox. And then if someone is drive rushing behind that fireball, they will drive rush into that big explosive hitbox. It's something. Once again, this is the lazy easy answer. It will dissuade some of the options against it, but it certainly won't dissuade them all, especially if you can just wait for Honda to like do it and then you're just gonna do like a level 3 behind it or something like that, right? So that's an option. Here's the other more fun option. So when a move gets clapped, and this specifically has to be projectile only, because I don't want to take away the uniqueness of like when you have buff up clap in the hands. But so when a move gets clapped and a projectile is destroyed, you can then immediately special cancel into anything. You don't need buff, And also, to keep it fun and keep it fair, you don't need charge. And yes, there's many examples of this. Like Chun-Li, there's a lot of situations where she can remove the charge requirements for moves, right? So this would be much the same. So then, if I clap a fireball, I can immediately hit like back forward punch and go into a headbutt. And then, if you're drive rushing right behind that fireball, then you get smacked. Say you have a frame perfect setup. If I clap the fireball, then go back forward punch punch, and then I'll do my frame 1 armored EX headbutt, right? So then there's actually counterplay. If you're doing this, then I could go like down, up, and kick. And once I clap it, and then boom, I go, you know, flying across the air. Something like that. It just gives them an option off a move. Like, there's supposed to be a reward here, right? There's supposed to be a reward, but doing the intended value of the move of destroying a fireball puts Honda in a world of risk. What's the actual incentive to doing it? It's almost none. Like, you could say, oh, he gains a lot of meter when he does it. That's not worth the risk. If I gain like a decent chunk of meter, but I'm putting my life on the line, I'm not going to do it. Straight up. So that's where I'm at. Either make the actual clap become like a giant hit after the projectile is destroyed, or do more fun and make once a projectile is destroyed special cancelable and remove charge requirements so I can go clap, headbutt, screw your fireball. And also, I believe there should be an EX clap because there is no clap that does both buttons. It can be functionally the same, but it should just be full body projectile invincible frame 1. Just so he can do something against JP. I don't know. That's a wish list, I guess, right? But that's an idea. That's where I'm at. So which of the two ideas do you like? Let me know in the comments below. And besides that, just some quality of life stuff. I feel like his level 2 is too slow to actually like deter a lot of people. It's meant to be an anti-fireball move, and it's not very good at its job. Like, you catch people, and it's just not going to work most of the time unless you do it in like a predictive way. So that, and the level 3, only thing I'll change just the initial hitbox. Just make it a little bit higher. Like, so many basic combos, if you just want to have like a little bit of fun, like, it can whiff, right? And that's no fun. And that's the good whiff. The bad whiff is if he goes completely under the character. So in so many situations like that, just extend a little higher. So in common situations where it can whiff, it won't. For other characters, it's a non-issue. I don't know why it's an issue for Honda on like the basic combos, but it is, unfortunately. Like, you have to do, you know, change your combo structure, do like sumo step into the 2 hits, but then you also have to delay those hits. Because if you do them too fast, too far, you're still going to completely whip the whole super, right? So just extend the hitbox vertically just a little bit, and I'll save a lot of Honda players a lot of headache. And that's my thoughts on the situations. Once again here, I don't know what Season 2 is going to entail. I don't think there'll be new mechanics or new moves, at least not yet. That reads more like a Season 3 thing to me. So we got to work with what we got. And these are some of the changes I have that make Honda more fun. Make them better neutral, make them stronger neutral. Once again here, I'm all for Buttslam being nerfed. I don't care. Like, if that's what the problem is for people, get rid of it. I don't want that to be part of the offense. Other than like edge case matchups where it's a thing, like say versus Dalsum, right? I just want to be a better character neutral. I feel that's where his strengths should lie. Once again, things like faster walk speed will help with that and make the forward heavy kick more valuable as well. I think the buff should be so much better. I think a buff, considering you made it a graduated move, is not just a V skill like Street Fighter V. I feel it should be a cornerstone of the character, right? Like for Lily, we talked about the stocks. I just think you should be able to do more things with the stocks, but the stocks part of the character. Buff should be a big part of the character, other than, oh, got hit confirm, do the thing, and just do like a little bit more damage, right? It needs to be a bigger deal, and I think some of the changes I put forward, make it a bigger deal, are very reasonable and fun. And that's kind of the most important thing, is fun. I want him to be fun. I agree with people that he's a gimmicky character as it currently stands. I don't want him to be a gimmicky character. I want him to be a super solid character. I want you to be scared of Honda when, you lose because you felt like Honda outplayed you, not because you lost because you didn't know how to deal with like this gimmicky crap, right? So I want to remove the gimmicks and make him more fundamentally sound, more fundamentally solid. That's where I'm at. That said, that's the video. I would like to know what you guys think as well. Please post in the comments below. And other than that, we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.